The sons and daughters of the motherland, welcome to yet another episode of the Checkmate. Good to have you once again. Here again with my friend, the Prince of Chitagata, who's now dressing like a very rich man.
I mean, in Uganda, you have to fake it until you make it.
You have to give a reason and hide all your troubles in the house.
You can't look like your problems.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
How's your week?
My week was okay. It was good. A lot of conversations from our last podcast, a lot of criticism and reviews, and a lot of the week has been busy, as you can see.
I saw one of the comments on our YouTube saying that we should do the show in Uganda, but then I remembered you're Uganda and I had to apologize in advance.
Yeah, this is a national conversations I had to put in one language, because our benefit is that people from across the spectrum
all over
able to understand the guys in the diaspora, the guys everywhere. So we shall apologize for people that may not relate well with this language, but there's nothing we can do.
And considering that we have over 52 local dialects in Uganda.
But we add in occasionally, I think Luganda
we mix in a little bit of it.
I think Luganda is the most added in language, apart
That's
from
true.
the English that we use.
Yeah, and now that we know Nicholas's week, I also had a very good week. Let's tell you how Uganda's week was. And we have 5 stories that we will focus on this week. We'll talk about the campaigns,
yes,
specifically the police brutality and how they've handled the rallies for all the candidates. We'll also talk about the Electoral Commission and UPDF directives on who should stay or when you should leave the polling station after voting, and if you are allowed to stay and under what circumstances. We'll also talk about the independence of the judiciary, specific focus on Justice Esther Kisakye and the troubles that have surrounded her camp since the 19th of March 2021. And we'll also talk about the game of numbers as far as the Electoral Commission releasing the registered voters to participate in next year's election. And finally, we will talk about what the Minister in charge of disaster preparedness talked about in terms of the refugees and which countries should no longer bring in refugees in Uganda. This is the Checkmate. So, Nicholas, story number 1, we are talking about the police brutality.
Yes.
And if for print and also for TV and even radio, what has dominated the airwaves and all over is the story of how the police has handled the campaigns, and specific focus is made on the NUP. When we had, in the earlier episodes of the Checkmate, we had talked about a quiet campaign.
Yes.
And I remember we agreed on a point that when the NUP gets to the central region, we will see the tides change. And as prophets as we have become, as far as that point is concerned, we have seen that shift. And when Bobi Wine held his campaign in Kawempe, we saw violence right outside the offices of NUP up to Kawempe, and even in the aftermath of the campaign, we saw tear gas and water cannons being deployed by police. We saw dogs. There's been a discussion on dogs saying that it's taking us back to apartheid. Police coming and defending that position to say that dogs have been used for crowd control over the world, even in first world nations. That continued in Mokono, Nicholas, in Buikwe, in Jinja, with
Kayunga.
And in Kayunga, with even in Kayunga, tear gas fired on a rally, police claiming that it was beyond 6 p.m. and NUP saying that because of the different Panya routes that had been used, they could only get to that venue after 6, and they just asked for 5 minutes to address the people and go. What has been a continuation in that, especially in the line of the procession? Nicholas, I need to give you background on this.
Yes.
The bigger discussion in the newspaper is that while the police is saying that candidates should not hold processions, while Museveni was in Rukunjiri, in Kabale this week, in Kisoro, in Itungamo, there were processions that were being made, and even for the unstoppable caravans that go ahead of the NRM candidate, to say that there's some sort of bias with how the police is handling this, even on the different programs where the police has coming to say that has been the order of the day. So this is the beginning story and what has dominated most of the news this week, and I invite you to weigh in.
Thank you, Harold. I want to start by giving perspective to what you're talking about. And sometimes when we speak about these things, some people misinterpret them. Either misinterpret us or shoot the messenger, but not the message. Because the opening statement I was going to make is that the National Unity Platform, is playing by different rules from the rest of the presidential candidates that are on the campaign trail. And this is not something that should be a matter of affiliation or feelings or something. This is something which even the blind can see. That whereas others can hold processions, the National Unity Platform is not allowed to hold processions. I don't know anyone else, other candidates, who have been given long routes so that they reach their venue past 6 p.m., the time stipulated for rallies to end. Yeah, you know? I don't know other candidates at whose rallies dogs, you know, have been deployed. I don't know any candidates at whose, you know, campaign water cannons
have been employed.
Today we saw clips, I think they were coming out of Ginger, you know. Now I think because of over criticism of tear gas and what now, guys, red tops, guys holding batons, just preventing people from going to their rally, honestly speaking. Now, how objective should we become for people to know that what we are speaking about is something that even the deaf can hear? So when we speak about these things, we don't take sides. This podcast brings the news of the week
and puts them
into perspective. But when something is overwhelmingly and glaringly
evident,
overt, there is nothing that we can do to cover it up to say there is a semblance of this. You understand? So and that is the spirit to which I want to come into this matter. Now, having said that, the National Unity Platform plays by different rules. You know, I want to say that in the beginning of this election cycle, when we started, I think it was about the time that we started this podcast, the election was very suspiciously un-Ugandan. Why? Because time and time again we had been used, especially post 2016. I think from 2016, 11 was not as much, but I think from 2016 to 21, we had been used to what it means to come, especially for opposition candidates, the strong opposition candidate. I had the Honorable Chira Ibrahim Samujunganda say that in Uganda, an election is always a referendum.
That's true.
It's the incumbent against the biggest opposition candidate.
Yes, the biggest. It does not matter who it is.
It doesn't matter who it is. And I think he was quite articulate on that point. So the biggest opposition candidate has always had to work twice as much, even thrice as much, to put off tear gas, state surveillance. You remember last election when they erected, I think they're still there, cameras.
We talked about it in our previous episode.
Overseeing
the office and even the residence.
The office and the residence of Honorable Chaguranyi and everything. You know, but so when the election started and it was all calm, all quiet, you're loud, you're like, what kind of trap is being said? But for optimism and
even the Minister of Constitutional Affairs coming to say this will be the quietest election Uganda has ever seen.
This will be the quietest election. And people coming to say that, okay, I heard NRM people, regime people say, when tear gas is, when those fightings, what police brutality, the opposition uses it as a point of advantage to score sympathy, international, involvement, voter. So they said, let them expose themselves. Then the talking point now became that when they go to rallies, they have no message, because the message used to be they are firing tear gas, they are brutalizing us. The whole rally they talk about. So now they said, let's give you a chance to talk about your manifesto. And then so they said, these guys are not talking about their manifesto. So we saw that when he started in Bosoga and proceeded to the Far East, it was quite calm, And for some people, it was Uganda. It was the campaign that was.
It was strange for Ugandans to see.
Very strange.
Who have been used to basically 2006, 11, 16.
Very strange. But I want to believe, in my own analysis, that having seen the tide, I don't know, maybe there was a belief that the happenings that affected the internal structures of the NUP. Between 2021 and now,
that they would go a little bit.
The expulsion of the DF people, the different people who went away, that whole media animosity and,
the internal politics.
So maybe there was a belief that the NUP had been contained.
A wave that has
Yes,
just
was
been
just
taken
a wave that has passed. It was a tsunami that has passed. But when they saw the numbers, they started in Busoga, which was understandable. It's part of the central region where ANUP has historically been strong. Went to the far east, the Masaba, yes, at the border, crossed to,
to West Nile area, then the north.
West Nile, crossed to Mbarara, the western region, where the NRM should, this should be the stronghold of NRM.
And what happened in Mbarara happened, yes.
And what happened in Mbarara, I think there was concern that maybe we need to find a way, And the way, if you notice this election, you're going to see that about the time the Honorable Chagulanyi started going to Gulu, the NRM, if you saw the pictures that come out of their rallies, they started to do mass mobilization. Schools,
that's true,
churches, everyone that could give them people, because now it became a battle. Now it became a battle of crowds. And of course, you cannot compete against someone who has buses, who has T-shirts, who has some money to give, who has artists, who has everything. When it goes to the north, I think at a strategic level, the thing is that enough is what?
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. From the police raid when they were on their way to the arrests. Okay, from the arrests in Mbarara on Bwizugera.
Yes. Actually, there's a tweet that was done by the Secretary General for the NUP claiming that 307 people have been arrested since the campaign started. On the nomination day in Natete, 32 were arrested. On the way to Mitiana, 29. Lira, 10. Mbarara City, 23. Mbarara District, that was where siege. 89.
Yes.
Arua, 32. Kawempe, 92. 307.
Definitely. Everyone would know that Bobi Wine is not going to be allowed here in Uganda. And I think the biggest battle we're going to see it tomorrow. Tomorrow is Massacre.
I have seen the DPC. It was really worrying to see.
We're going to see the biggest
I've never seen a DPC, a police DPC, speak with such passion in his eyes.
No, I saw
when he was dictating the route that Chagulanyi should take.
Was it the DPC or was it a spokesperson? I
think it was. There was so much joy in his heart asking the radio presenter, do you know this route? The guy says no. It's like, me, I know the route.
When the presenter was telling him, but isn't that far?
Say, but it's like, do you know security?
You drop the radio, come to security, and
then we train you.
And there was this whole air of, he's so happy.
There was joy in his voice.
He's so joyous. He's commanding, and he feels his feet is firm on the ground. But why? The question is why, Harold, are they doing this kind of thing? One, like I had said before, to try to break the spirit of the people that follow. And I want to talk about how
whoever saw what happened on Thursday,
on
feared
Thursday
to go on a NUP rally the next day or something.
Yes, I mean, people already congregated on a rally that you have taken hours to read.
And then projectiles
of tear gas. And today there were even more graphic, where police were tear gassing people, just tear gas paper spraying people just in the face, like someone just in the face falls down, they go
short range
this kind of animosity, as the security forces themselves, honestly, it's kind of animosity. Why do they have this kind of animosity? But then I will tell you why. Number one, like I said, is to dispirit the people. But number two, and most importantly, is that you cannot show the world that this man has these many gatherings, has these large crowds in this region.
How will you defend your role?
Otherwise, tomorrow, when you say that this man who had these grounds got 20%, people are going to raise questions and be like,
it doesn't make sense.
If he did this, if this was Arua, if this was Mbarara, if this was Busia, if this was Jinja City, if this was Massacre, how do you say the man has 20%? Where are the gaps coming from? So you must work very hard to see that there is no, and that's why, and I've been seeing some people. There's a friend of mine called, I will not name names, but they paint a picture. So after doing that, police has dispersed people. Then
they take pictures.
Then they take videos.
I would say the rally
the rally was a flop. He's moving around with 10 people. When they have arrested border the other side, they have tear gassed them. They have beat everyone. They have unleashed dogs, on the crowds. That is number two. Is that they cannot show that Bobi Wine has crowds. Why? It is going to bring accountability issues when the results finally come out.
But you see, the biggest worry on this, Nicholas, is if it's a free and fair election.
Yes.
You are implementing things that are not necessarily in the parent laws, because police uses the guys that we have to protect people's businesses and property, and that's our role. But it is not tying into the rights and privileges of a presidential candidate.
Yes.
These are not illegal rallies.
Yes.
You cannot bring the Public Order Management Act now because the person is campaigning and it is the EC schedule and they should be in this area. So that trick no longer works with the police. Now they will go in the guise of you're interrupting business.
Yes, yes.
Do not use the main routes. The bigger worry is if there's a free and fair election and there's change, how can this army serve a new president that they have been?
I think we spoke about it. And we spoke about it, and I told you these are the dangers.
The security forces. Sorry to use the word army, but the security forces.
If the security forces have taken a side, exactly how are they going to do when they realize that the commander-in-chief is different? It means that they must have a subconscious, or they must have a place they come from where they know that they already have seen the predetermined nation of the election.
I wait to see how Masaka will play out. We have to close to another topic, but for me the bigger thing is that this is actually, even for Masaka, which is on Saturday, that it's going to fall into the advantage of the breakaway camp for the NUP, because there's no, by the way the security forces were speaking, I don't think NUP will have it their way. And if it happens, then it falls into the DF narrative to say that they have a bigger appeal in the area where this person who wanted to stamp and show the support that NUP still has in the region
Harold,
has been frustrated.
Harold, you have, I don't know if I've taken long maybe without being to Masaka, but I have been on the ground in Masaka, and let me tell you, it's different on the ground. It's different on the ground. And you see with Masaka, it has a certain, it's a flashpoint. And that's why I don't think that Masaka people can bow to the whims of the
be intimidated
bow to the whims of the security forces. I am thinking that guys are going to escort, my prediction is that guys are going to escort the Honorable Chagulanyi. In that long route, whether it is 20 kilometers, guys are going to go with him. Even while they are going on the grounds, they are going to find many people. You know? Definitely,
as far as the grounds are concerned, that's not in dispute.
But what are the effects, Harold, of this is happening, this police brutality? One is that you are creating a people that is, you know, at a certain point, Uganda used to be where there is tear gas, they don't go. You know? If you remember campus strikes, there's a strike, tear gas, everyone goes back. You just
go back to hostel.
Everyone goes back to hostel, you regroup tomorrow morning. That's why most strikes used to just be in the mornings.
That's true.
The morning, by lunchtime, everyone goes to eat lunch and abandon, because tear gas is a lot. Then tomorrow morning, you do what?
You regroup.
But now, a citizenry is being created that is resistant, that has been pushed to the edge where I've seen even some people, and this one we don't encourage, honestly. Some people decide to take on security forces. That was unheard of. That you see someone throwing a tear gas and you try to wrestle it out of their hands. But you are creating a citizenry that is now not scared anymore.
There's a picture on Monday. This element
of force
There's a picture on Monday where there's a gentleman who carried an old woman that had been had to throw them at a policeman.
You are the reason why
you are the reason. Yeah, get and deal with it.
Take her. Security guy is running away. So that is the kind of people that you're creating radical people. And radical people means that you're creating a recipe for disaster. What happens when they wake up and decide that we don't fear guns anymore? What happens when they wake up and decide in large numbers, in millions, that we are not scared? But number two, I hope that at a strategic level, someone, because the president really, we cannot accuse him of not being an intelligent man. Very strategic, very intelligent. I hope that at a strategic level, very strategic level, maybe in-house level, he is making a full assessment of the popularity of the NRM as a party. Because it's true, these people can do everything. The elections can come out the way they have come out before, you know, with allegations of vote tampering and tarring and everything. And he can rule another term, but at a strategic level, I hope that someone is really telling him the truth.
The reality check.
That he has, you know, he now is surrounded by so many sycophants, so many self-seekers, that have created, everyone is now...
They will sugarcoat the reality to tell him what he wants to hear.
You know, these old men that people know that they are about to pass on, so they are wondering who is
in the wheel.
How can I, so you keep visiting the old man. So Museveni has not been surrounded by self-seekers. But I hope that there are genuine people who can able to sit,
to whisper in the king's ear and say, look.
And I don't know if he still has those people, because most of them he chased them away, the ones that historically were NRA that could speak to him. We can tell him, you know what, although we are doing this and but it's
counterproductive.
The popularity of the NRM is really on their low. If you can see that people, even in the Western region where the party used to be historically strong, there was probably no opposition.
It's scary numbers. How the support structure of NRM is largely based on a buyout, like it's commercialized. Like it's no longer botanical for especially the younger generation. Listen to them and see why are we not appealing to them and what's the cause?
No, I think historically most ruling governments have buying out is actually a good tactic, to be honest, and I think, and that's why I credit Anita Among for Museveni. I think I don't know how people.
She's an asset to the establishment.
People don't understand how big of an asset that lady is to the establishment. She's a big asset because the people that she has brought into the camp by carrot, by buying them out, promising them this, promising them that, and that's why we are going to touch the point of protecting the vote. I think that's where most of these people's promises are hinged. That I can bring you back to parliament single-handedly. I can do this. I can do this. But I hope someone is whispering to Museveni's ear and telling him, although we are doing this, I mean, if there's people tear gas, you bring all sorts, the thing that was happening in Kawempe, but people still show up in large numbers, overwhelm the venue. When dogs are deployed, tear gas is deployed, water cannons are shooting, brutality is being meted out. Some people have been stopped from going. Border guys know that to go on Baby Wine's rally,
it's
I
like
may not go back home.
With your border.
And this border is their income. This is like you knowing that if I go, I don't have a job. But we said no, I will go.
Final one on this one, Nicholas. There's this thing that I've noticed this week, that most of the news and even Ugandans are focusing more on what the government is doing about the presidential election than the underground work, the focus they are putting on controlling the parliament. In terms of the discussion of, we discussed during SEC on how many PLU leaning people had been sponsored to maybe...
Sponsored? Allegedly.
Okay, allegedly sponsored to take up positions. Okay, the younger folk that, of course, were PLU leaning. And now even the focus of controlling the parliament, you talked about the speaker bringing in these ones and promising that there's more to, for example, when we say when you vote, go back home, there's more on protecting the MP of the area and playing around with the presidential vote, as there's equal intention of playing around and maybe deleting some people from the MP's role and position.
Yes, I think that, of course, if because these two run...
Because they are on the same day.
Because these two run simultaneously, it is very hard, because the presidential election is always going to overshadow the fact that even on the same day we're voting in are the MPs. But I think it moves hand in hand. That while the presidential candidates are going around, you've been seeing where Museveni goes, some candidates give up, they get out of the race, they try to make even the ones who are independent.
The people who have handed back party cards.
The people who are independent because of the dispute in the... So I think NRM, I think, has been more focused on that, should I say, because it has tried to reconcile the ones who are independent because they dress the flag, and to say, you know what, I don't know what method they use to make sure that the incumbent remains strong. The
one who has the
flag remains alone, remains the only unifying factor of the party, so that they don't split the vote. I think NRM has tried to do that by every region that Museveni goes to, even before that Museveni went there.
The lead team that has the speaker, the deputy speaker,
have moderated a lot of people.
Uganda.
Yes, have brought a lot of people on board. So I think, I don't know about the rest of the candidates, how they have done, but I know also when they go, they campaign for also their candidates. But sometimes because of the seasonality, the presidential election takes center stage.
The center stage. Yeah. But we have to continue and go to our next topic that is tied to that. Last week we talked about the unfairness of the EC rulings and how some people are getting independent, which in our analysis and also exposure of the expose of the law, it pointed to some of the things that were not right and how those petitions were not handled in the right manner. In the rules of natural justice. But this week, Nicholas, the EC came out and also in conjunction with the deputy spokesperson of the UPDF, emphasizing the position of the UPDF that whole thing of after voting, staying at a polling station is not going to be allowed. That the rule is that you vote and then you go back home. Nicholas, if you read a little bit of the law, the act that governs the parliamentary elections, you are allowed to actually stay as long as you are within 20 meters from the enclosed place. Despite of how big the voting or the polling station is, there's no basis to chase people off, whether it's on intimidation or continued campaigning, because continued campaigning on the election day is a ground for setting aside an election. It's not to say you want to avoid that, because a campaign that continues, the candidate who, even if wins, would be the victim of that.
Yes.
This is in the wake of the strategy of the NUP where they were saying, vote, protect, count it. Now, people are saying this is reactionary with no basis of the law. Please.
I think that you see, Harold, it's very hard for me now to analyze these issues from a place of objectivity, because even when you try to become objective, because of the overwhelming evidence to the contrary, some people may think that maybe you have a dog in the fight, but I have a dog in the
fight. That's objectivity, Nicholas.
You see, what is the genesis of? I think when the Justice Byabakama was talking about this issue also passionately the other day, I think he had a press conference. He said it came out of some candidates who are saying this is a protest vote, that we vote and then protect the vote. Londa okumechi
akaruru
kuma akaruru. Yeah. And the question is, Harold, you must understand why people have devised means of protecting the vote. Why? Because of the flaws in the system. Because the system is untrustworthy. And what makes the system untrustworthy of the Electoral Commission? What puts the Electoral Commission on stand? One, the Justice Byabakama did not come out to, honestly speaking, for all that is happening. You know, I understand that you must have some respect maybe for the appointing authority, but some things you feel the role and above. You feel the role. Some things go over and above.
It's a mandate.
Yes. People are deploying dogs. Said, I don't know anything about dogs. I
don't work in security.
I don't work in security. I have no question there. No, what happens?
Ask the security people.
Guys, let's take it a little bit low. Let's take
this
it.
This is my election.
Yeah, this is your election. This is your election.
Yeah, the EC
That's why
boss.
in the 1980 election we got the Paolo Mwangi election of 1980. This is your election. This is not Museveni's election. This is not Baby Wine's election. This is not the security forces election. This is your election. You are the chief adjudicator. Say, guys, instead of what is the matter? Can we have a day and we come together and we bring NUP and NUP and some other presidential candidates have filed these petitions to EC. Say, look, we designated this as the venue. We got everything. It's in our plan.
What's the basis of them blocking
24 hours to the date, they said us no. Okay, actually, sometimes when you have already communicated to people, you've set up your systems, you said we are going to Komamboga ground, that's where our rally for Kawempe South is, and then guys said, your rally, we have put it in Kanyanya. So all these issues that honestly have come up, I don't feel like Byabakama has come even close
to feeling the shoes of an EC boss.
To put up, even if it's put up a facade of we are running. You see, sometimes
a free and fair election.
Yes.
If it's not it, let it have a semblance of it.
Yeah, just have a semblance of it. At home, I'm not an expert in this kind of thing, but I believe that our parents used to have favorite children. But they're not going to put it in your face that, Harold is my boy, they are going to always have a semblance of
fairness.
All of
to
you are
all the
loved.
children.
You are all my children. You're all provided for. But deep, they know that there's a certain attachment they have to a certain. They cannot even explain it sometimes. You know. So, but there is a semblance of impartiality. So I think that, honestly speaking, the EC has failed fundamentally in that role. From not condemning the outright, overt police brutality, what was happening yesterday. And this thing going on over and over and over again. If it was those first beginning weeks, you can say, okay, well, maybe. But these issues, some of them have persisted week after week after week. So it is from those inefficiencies and doubts that people start to say, And then now the recent the calling back of some candidates in favor of mostly the NRM candidates. They called back on academic documents. They called back on signatures, on secondars. Court cases are flying left, right, and center. You have not established trust in Ugandans to say that we shall adjudicate this election very well. That's why there must be a need arises of, if we vote and go home, this same issue that was quiet when we were tear gassed, when dogs attacked us, when we didn't hold rallies in certain areas, when some of our candidates were not nominated, when is this EC able to give us a valid and fair verdict?
There's a very interesting statement that Henry Tumukunde, General, said in the last election, where he was actually a presidential candidate.
Yes.
Let's forget about that. He's now
back.
An NRM flag bearer.
His eyes have now been opened.
But there's an interesting statement that he said, where he said that the opposition should not focus to win the election, but to ensure that Museveni does not get 50%. At that point, the biggest discussion in the opposition was 1, coalition, 2, boycott. That was the biggest discussion in the previous 2021 election. But NUP has understood. There's a Runyankore saying that when you meet a stick that beat your co-wife, you throw it far away.
Yes.
It saw what had been done to Besigye, what had happened, and it needed to bring on board masses, because Nicholas, we're going to talk about it, the voter turnout in Uganda, where 18 million people are registered, but only 9 will come to vote.
Yes.
You are looking for a way of bringing the 9 million people that had been voting, or that had been registered as voters, but they did not turn out. What do you tell them? 1, let's challenge the system. And the protest vote was an ingenious thing to say, can I capture the people who are not voting? Can I make people trust in this? Can I make a statement that even when the system is failing us, we will find ways of making a statement? So to design this and say, where has the election been cheated in the previous, at least according to the reports that we have, talking about the affidavits in the previous presidential elections for 2011, 2016, 2021, where people were saying there was ballot stuffing, and then people saying that what left the polling stations and reached the district tally centers was not making sense. As an opposition candidate, the leading, what do? Let people stay. Let's have a coordination. Let's build a system to say from polling station A, there were these votes. It makes sense with what has come at a district. It now makes sense what has gone to the national tally center. So for the EC to come out and then you're limiting those methods with because Nicholas, I can read you, Section 31 of the Parliamentary Elections Act is very clear. It says voters who have cast their votes and other persons in the vicinity of the polling station other than the election officers, candidates, or their agents and observers shall stand at least 20 meters away from the table mentioned in subsection 3. It talks about the voting area to just make sure that it's a secret ballot. But 20 meters away, you're not breaking any rule.
Yes.
There's no basis whatsoever to block that access, especially in the light of what we've been discussing, of people are trying to devise means to in fact vindicate you whether it's a true and fair election. And then you're trying to chase them away, which actually justifies their assertion that it's not free and fair.
The question is, do you think that the justice
does not know that? Definitely knows that.
In all his submission, actually what he does is threaten and says, he actually uses the word zikusa. If you're planning to stay,
you're
finished. Means that you're done. Zikusanza, and he has said you'll be arrested. So all these tactics, honestly speaking, continue to assert to people what they already imagine, that this EC is not here to adjudicate a fair and free election. What should the NUP and other opposition candidates do? No, what they should do is stick to the law. The law of the land. The
Follow the plan.
Is the supreme law of the land. It is not. It supersedes these small orders by the forces, small interpretation by the EC boss. As long as you're not breaking any law. Of course, at the end of the day, you can be arrested for vote protecting, but you have done it within your constitutional mandate of protecting the election.
Third story of the day.
Yes.
Nicholas. And we are talking about the independence of the judiciary. The former Justice of the Supreme Court.
Yes,
you have a katalekeka.
As I conclude this point, this is why I was thinking that why is it now an issue of vote and go home? Why was it not in the previous
election?
Carries forward from the first point we made. This election has been a first of many, and honestly speaking, anyone who has observed this election can see that the popularity of the ruling party has continued to dwindle.
Do Ugandans have more hope in the fairness of the election because of NUP strategies than the electoral commission itself?
You cannot supersede the election commission. Ultimately, is the chief of the election. You cannot have more hope.
No. I'm talking about a Ugandan who didn't vote in the last two elections, getting a reason to vote now. Is the hope drawn to say that maybe the electoral commission has changed and can deliver free and fair election, or the opposition candidate atadewe embeera nti it can be free and fair, or to take embeera to fight the system?
Neither.
Why would that person vote now?
Exactly. What person right now would vote because of the condition, because of the circumstances that they are in? And that is something that, like I was saying before, the government is not looking into. And I was hoping that the president can have people that can actually tell him that, you see these young people, although you can go to the ghetto and throw around 2 billion, use this can give them bread and butter for a day, a week or so. But ultimately you must plan something strategic, sustainable that can get to change the fortunes of these people. So a person who has been in say Munyiga, policies are bad. You've seen how taxes are doing the traders in town who back in the day used to be really
not caring about politics.
Actually, they were proud of it. Say, it's work to us. When the investor comes downtown, he destroys. People don't buy from us. The reason why those people are going to come out in large numbers and vote, I think, it's because of the conditions and circumstances that they are in. But also now, this unprecedented, should I say, unpopularity, will also now is starting to bring unprecedented tactics. That now vote and go home, we shall tell you how it went.
And our fourth story, which made headlines in the week, the Daily Monitor did a very thorough job in discussing the numbers of the Electoral Commission, which I think we should let our viewers know. And Nicholas, we have been talking about voter turnout. And in the previous episodes, we had talked about how many people voted in the previous election. And we said that the leading candidate being Museveni, the incumbent, had 58.3, which represented 6 million votes.
Yes.
Bobi Wine came in second place with 3.6
million,
which is 35.
Yes.
To put that in perspective, the two leading candidates were adding to 9.5 votes. Nicholas, that was against now these numbers. In 2021, we had 44 million Ugandans as our population, and we had 18 million registered voters.
Representing about, I think, 40%.
That's about 40% of the population.
Yes.
Now, if you now add in the ratio of the voter turnout, we have already seen that was around 9.5, close to 10 million.
You can add in other candidates, maybe
other candidates and the invalid votes.
10.5 thereabouts.
10 thereabouts. So you have 44 million people, 18
million registered
voters, and 10 million voters. So of the 44, if the 6 voted for the person who won the election, you can get the perspective.
On the 18? Because
of the 44, I'm just speaking the general population. Then now when you narrow it down from the 6 that the incumbent won with versus the 18, you can do the percentages. That's not even half.
Yes, less than half.
Yeah, it's less than half.
5% of.
You get my point. It doesn't get to 40 because it's 14 against 6. So now, if we go to 1996, there were 21 million Ugandans. There were 8 million voters. If we go to 2006, there were 28, our population, 28 million. We had 10 million voters. If you go to 2011, we were 33, and then the voters were 13 million. 2016, we talked about that, 38 million Ugandans versus 15 million voters. Nicholas, 2026, the EC has come out to say that whilst our population grew to 45 in the previous census, now the voters have also grown from 18 who were in the last election to 21 million.
Yes.
21 million, which now would be, I think, around 46%,
yes.
versus the ratio of
registered
voters to the total population.
Yes.
It's around 6-4. So now the discussion we are having, of course, some opposition is saying that 3.5 million is suspicious. How did we jump from 18 and
21?
That perhaps there are some ghost voters and there's a preparation to cheat? That was a comment. The comment from some of the opposition leaning political commentators. But the other issue is the voter turnout that we are discussing. Is our election a representation of the will of the people?
Well, let me start from the numbers that we have read. I've not studied the report to correctly conclude on if the 21 million voters is a phantom figure. But if you study the statistics, you realize that the rate at which I don't know about the rate at which people are registered, because they are registered voters. They must not just be adults, but registered voters.
Sure.
But also the rate at which we are churning out youth, we are churning out the young people. I think it may not be very far from the number being projected if they went ahead and registered as voters, because increasing the young, and we talked about it when we talked about
the population demography.
Yeah, how the demography is affecting. Especially the ruling party,
that's
you
true.
know, and then you
have more younger people.
Yeah, more younger people.
Because I saw that the genders, I think of the 21, 11.3 are women.
Women, yes.
So which is more of a balance of women versus men. But when you put now the percentages of the youth, yes, below 35,
yes,
out of the 21, they are the majority.
Yeah, they're going to be the majority. But also the number that we are churning out every day that graduate from 17 to 18, that is
the biggest. That is the between 15.5 to 17.5. You have very many Ugandans.
Exactly. So that's why I don't know if the numbers are off course, except if they did. If the point of conversation is
after analysis, it does not make sense. Yes.
Register to vote. Or is it just, but I think population-wise, it might make sense that since the last election, we have surely, after 5 years, added about those kinds of votes. Now, and of course, with the increasing, with the I think the bigger discussion, Nicholas, was that this is the first time we have the biggest percentage between population, by over 6%. Yeah, so that one, maybe they are correct, maybe they are not.
Maybe it makes empirical sense.
You know. But on the voter turnout issue, or if the elections represent the will of the people, you can adjudicate it in two ways. Number one, ask yourself why people cannot come out to vote. And even before we put it on, because later in number two, I'll tell you how sometimes they deliberate that people shouldn't come out to vote, like we saw the election in Kawempe last time. And in these hotspots, especially where the government does not do well historically. You're going to see it here in Buganda.
Kampala Metropolitan, basically.
Buganda, Busoga. You're going to see it where the president is unpopular. You know, and I've seen some of his cadres say, I don't think we shall get a vote in Busoga. I don't think we shall get a vote in these cities. So you're going to see it a lot. But I think also that as Ugandans, I don't know whether there are gaps in civic education, or we are in a place of comfort, or we're in a place where of indifference that things have happened, especially now, like things that the EC is saying. You are indirectly telling people not to come and vote. Because if I am going to wake up in the morning, some of us have to travel to vote because we vote from our constituencies that are far from this place. You know, if I have to travel to vote or wake up and vote, or you know, and then I'm not allowed to protect that. I'm not allowed to stand and understand that the vote I have voted has integrity. It counts. So why should I just not stay home and do some work? Why should I not just
There
open my shop?
There was an opinion
downtown?
poll that was done in the previous election by one of the NGOs when DGF was still a thing. It's sponsored an opinion poll through an NGO where they were asking Ugandans about voter turnout and when they were not coming. And I know you were castigated a lot this week for amplifying ignorance by looking or criticizing the elites, which I think is very unfair but in that opinion poll, most of the elites were viewing voting day as a public holiday because these are 8 to 5ers who are saying that this election is cheated. Why should I bother? And it represents a very big percentage of the people who have lost faith in the electoral process, and they're like...
But also because of the... You see, election. You see, our elites are funny people, and they are going to attack me for this. But I mean,
you are funny people.
These are. Sometimes we don't want to mix with
the dirty.
They are unwashed. You view an election. You see a procession. You
see the tear gas,
for
the
me,
dusty roads.
I would want to encourage everyone, honestly, that before the campaign trail ends. Attend a rally of your candidate that you support. Could be an
Go and
MP,
vote.
Could be a presidential candidate. Attend a rally.
Are you advocating for online voting?
We'll come
for convenience?
No. We'll come. No. I'm not advocating. I'll come to that later. Let me first talk about this issue. We'll talk about online voting. Is that so? Most of the elites see this process as the process of the unwatched. The guy is just going to line up. The guy is going to, go and
like even when they see a rally and Museveni had people or Bombi Wine, they say these people
yeah, exactly. The mind is they don't have what to do. But understand that the outcome of this process is going to affect your life directly and indirectly for the next 5 years. And sometimes the consequences are even long lasting. So if we would be able to rise up to that responsibility of knowing that I must participate because I must create the future that I want. Sometimes we abandon the future, and that's why people are saying, they come out saying, you see Warukaga, then the other lady in Mitiana. Where are the elites in the election? Where are all the people in Zero? Come out and say, I am Harold.
I'm presenting myself
as
one of the choices on the ballot.
And let people vote for you. Put out your campaign instead of saying, but we love this comfort of armchair activism.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone.
I can commentate. I push a hashtag.
I don't think that actually. And you see, last week we were a little bit harsh on some people, But the reason why those people have become national figures, people that you previously would only interface with at musical rallies, at entertainment halls, in nightclubs, in music festivals, on TikTok lives,
at National Theatre,
Comedy Store. The reason why those people have now become public figures, and they are the ones TVs are hosting. I saw a gentleman.
Are they feeling a vacuum?
They are feeling a vacuum. That's why our voices need to be amplified. They are feeling a vacuum because whom shall I send? And everyone says
they are available.
Everyone says I have a job to do. I can't risk my life. I can't risk my family. I have more important things to do. I am going back to school. When the void is left and politics is occupied by these people, we are running a risk where we shall have a cachistography.
Which is a dangerous.
Where we are led by the least. And this statement may be.
But it's known in political science and it's understood.
Statement may be seen as elitist, but when society is led by the worst of the society. But remember, they are the leaders. They are the ones that will determine your future. The fate of your house, your children that you're working hard, you're shying away from, is put in the hands of people that don't separate one from two. But they are feeling a vacuum. So elites and come out and vote.
I'm one of the protagonists of increasing the minimum requirement for an MP.
Yes,
and that's a start.
I also will be one of that. But
and even for LC3 and LC5 councillors.
Let your vote be counted. Let your opinion count. Participate.
We have to grow those numbers for an election to make sense, whether it's fair or not, but let the participation and the voices be heard.
Going to the issue on voter turnout, like we have said, number one is that in some places and in some instances, accountability must be taken that perhaps maybe the state does not want voters to be many. Number one, if you tell them vote and don't protect the vote, I am suspicious as to why I should even vote. If
you've been too brutal in rallies for the activities leading to the election.
Number two, if you did what happened in Kawempe South last year.
Yeah.
Last year?
No, yes, this year.
Yes, it's this year. Why does it feel like a long time
yeah,
ago?
it's been.
If you saw what happened in Kawempe South, honestly speaking, that level of brutality, nobody will come out to vote. And I think that was the strategy, is that maybe people should just be scared to come out to vote. So voter turnout is not going to do what? It's not going to people are not going to come out to vote. But also number three, and most importantly, is for the people who vote previously, did they feel that their views were represented?
That their voice was heard?
Did they feel that they put a stone on the building?
That their will mattered?
Did they feel that their will mattered, or that their vote meant something? You know, if some people are still voting and taking the election, then stations are showing that you have voted 100, the other side 100% has been received. That is going to demoralize some people to say, what kind of circus is this kind of election? And that is going to discourage some people from participating.
It's very funny, because even in the last election, one of the biggest issues that NUP was raising in its presidential petition was the failure or the decision by the EC not to count the Nansana areas thereabouts, where most of the support was. And the argument was that percentage would have changed. That whilst we are talking about 3.5 million votes represented, I think 35? Yes, we would be talking about 40s or something, which is a voice and a statement that an opposition party needs to ride on into the next election, and you cannot just shut out those voices. The people who know that they voted in Nansan and their election or results were not captured in the national tally, it's discouraging enough, and it influences voter turnout. But we have to switch to our fourth story, and this story is on the independence of the judiciary, and we're discussing with the focus on Justice Esther Kisakye. For those who do not know, Justice Esther was a justice of the Supreme Court. That was one of the 9 that was supposed to hear and determine presidential election number 1 of 2021. And yes, the presidential petition. And that started, I think, around in March after the election. And she was dissenting. She was the dissenting voice and wanted to give a dissenting judgment of the 8. And whilst they chose to give one unanimous decision, with others saying, I have read the judgment of my landed this person, I have nothing useful to add on. She had a dissenting judgment, and she had a lot of trouble from the Chief Justice reading that judgment that was dissenting from the voice of the 8. And her trouble started then. As we speak right now, she's in exile, and her lawyers have been writing. When Judicial Service Commission sat to hear this matter, it recommended that a commission of inquiry be set, a tribunal be set by the president to look into her misconduct. She has since gone to the Constitutional Court to challenge her handling and withholding of benefits, and also the setting up of the tribunal. Yesterday, she opened a Twitter page, an X page, and told the story of the lack of the independence of the judiciary. You can go on her X handle and read it. But a summary of her was that she says started with dissent of a captured judiciary, and that the president and the Judicial Service Commission, the Chief Justice, were not fair and were acting against the rules of natural justice. This comes in the wake of accusation of an not independent judiciary and interference from the state that has been seen with storming of the courts, and then with what now has been tagged cadre judges and cadre magistrates that we have actually discussed before here. It's one of the stories that made headlines in this week.
Thank you, Harold. Now, I want to do this analysis purely from a place of the accusations from the Lady Justice. Yeah. So I am hesitant to name names, but Harold, I think that thank you so much for bringing us that. But the battle between the Lady Justice Kisakye and, should I say, the Chief Justice?
The Chief Justice, the President,
the
the
Chief
system.
Justice, the President, and the system begins on that fateful day when she has a dissenting judgment
To read.
on if the National Unity Platform should admit more evidence or not, because her reason was that they were locked out of their premises during
The preparation of the petition.
the petition and even the election, then even after.
Yes.
So giving them more time to bring more evidence was
within.
just you know. The other 8,
We can
let's
make a decision depending
let's
on
determine
what the evidence that has already been
on the
submitted.
evidence that has already been submitted. Now, traditionally, or normally, should I say, normally, an 8-1 vote should not be cause for radical persecution, should not be cause for witch
So
hunt.
that being this persecution.
Let me come, I'm building my point. Should not be cause for witch hunt, because I want to tell you the extent to which they went. When you follow I know you followed it even more than me, because you're in the sector, but you're going to determine that this is not just something, but this is someone is coming after her with all the might. So you guys ask yourself, why an 8-1 decision should
on
be
a preliminary
easy.
matter
Should be pretty easy. All the other 8 read their decisions, their judgments.
You just come
This
and
one,
dissent. It's a
this come
dissenting
and
voice.
it's a
It's
dissenting
normal.
vote.
It's not.
Someone
it's not
stands
alien.
up and says that, you know what, it's 8-1, and that used to be the working of Museveni. Why? Museveni has been a moderate for most of the time. You know, that's why he's willing to win an election, and I understand the language I'm using, by 58%, 63%. Rarely would Museveni come and say, I've got 98%, like the counterpart.
Just here in the south.
Yeah. Or the southwest, where the gentleman always gets 95, 92, 98. You know? Museveni will rarely do that, because Museveni has not been in the radical business. He has been in the moderate business. He wants to maintain a facade, semblance, you know, so that there is a semblance of a factional democracy. The merits are the merits of, if it is, can be debated
that can
later.
be debated later, but the face.
Yes, but I mean,
democracy.
The man has said he has won by 58%. The largest opposition candidate, who had massive rallies, a movement, a wave, has brought almost 60 MPs into the House, had
3.6, 3.5, yes.
3.5, 35%. So 3.6 million.
Sorry,
3.6 million votes. You know, so that one, you see that it's someone that is somehow a moderate. You know, but now, when in the case of Justice Kisakye, what happens? What happens is, when she decides to dissent, when she makes a decision to dissent, her judgment when it dissents, the Chief Justice does not allow her to read
the judgment.
When she says, I will read it,
and calls the media and the lawyers to come to a certain room in the Supreme Court to read.
These are honorable people, Carol. I'm talking about very honorable people.
Robed.
If we talk about a Chief Justice, if we talk about justices, of the Supreme Court, honestly speaking, we're talking about very dignified people.
Cream de la cream.
You know, I was disappointed when I was reading to find that the Justice Professor Lillian Tebatema is part of this, but you can clearly see that I could not hide my disappointment, because as I was reading, her name kept coming up. And this is an honorable person, Ichiribanza, I think. Ichirikubinza. These are honorable people. You must understand where we speak from when we say to come and put down a mic and withdraw the speakers
and take away the files. And call the court orderly to usher people out.
Tell people out, you know, is a barbaric act that should not be at Supreme Court level.
In 2021.
Let that be in KCC. Let them fight as they pass a judgment in KCC, because these are not dusty people. These are counselors of the people. These are, you know, rough people. Let them at that level. That can be allowed. You see, even in
but
Parliament,
not in the temples of justice.
Even in Parliament, when they fought, Parliament is a collection of people who have left so many professions. Some are teachers, some are farmers, some are businessmen, most of them. Some are from civil service, some are...
It's Katogo.
So you can allow if the tempers flare, but honestly speaking, by the time you become a justice of the Supreme Court, you're supposed to be the cream de la cream. So I don't know what trouble would be if she was allowed to read her judgment, dissent.
It's 8 against 1.
And they come up and say, guys, it's 8 against 1. So
math.
Election petition 1 of 2021 dismissed. Why? Because the judgment we were going to determine it on the evidence already in, because so what would have happened? But no, let's take away the microphone. You can clearly see that someone in the system climbs down from the honor that they should be and starts to do work that is supposed to be at LC level. Take away microphone, take away the judgment, then do everything. And that does not stop there. When she comes from that, the PS...
Yes. Now the PS, yes, of
starts to write letters to her that she has been paid for 9 months when she was not in office. From then, from what Daily Monitor reports, she's taken off medical.
Yes.
Her research office goes.
That's true.
She's not given leave.
Even the Observer ran a story on it. Yes. Same content.
I think some of her privileges are stripped.
Yeah.
Her salary is stripped. And she is not given any more roles. She's even accused of not writing some judgments on cases that she was not a part of. She was not part of the bench. So it's a gang that appears to just gang around her. Why? Because she descended in an 8-1 judgment.
Which should be trivial. And so many things go on, files, petitions, but none of her fellow justices wants her to appear before her because they know this is not just a case. This is a political thing. But why does that happen, Harold? Now, generally speaking, and you allow me to speak generally here. Please.
There has been a certain kind of radicalism that has come in most of the leaders of the different arms of government, not just arms, even entities, every level.
Government institutions.
There is this whole thing of trying to audition yourself, trying to show the principle. They are
prove importance authority. To the appointing authority.
Yes, that I am serving.
I'm a utility.
I am a utility to you. Because I don't think that if this was Museveni, that's why I suspect that this, although she later tried to retire, and Museveni descended to her retirement, I don't think that this is a doing of Museveni. Because Museveni has not operated like this. And everyone has studied him over time and time again. Museveni has no trouble with an 8-1 dissenting case. Not even on the judgment level, on just filing of more evidence. Museveni has no qualms or no, with that kind of thing. But I suspect that this is someone in the high authority who is auditioning, who is trying to show that I am working for you, that how can I have a rabid dog in my department? How can I have a stray dog? How can I have someone that dissents in my house? Someone who has left the leash. In my house. That either appears as a disgrace to him or appears that he is not a good cadre to the system. But it's as if there is need to show. And what Museveni does is wise. He does not let this person down because he's seeing their efforts. So that's why he would say, I dissent to your retirement. Not because that's what he wants. If you have studied Museveni very well, you can know that what I'm telling you is the truth. That's how he operates. He does not concern himself. There are many precedents on how he has handled some of this. I don't think that he would even reach a point. Already reached a point of going to exile. She is, and even some of those letters are written by a law firm, I think based in the US. Yes, that is representing her on those two active petitions. A desperation, Harold, and this is at different levels. This is at different arms. You have seen people in NEMA. We are talking about the EC. There is this whole thing of wanting to present yourself that I am working in favor. I am putting my best foot forward, and that's why I am predicting some of these things. When they come true, we are not prophets. This is something that even you can predict, you can see coming. Because most of these people are the ones that have surrounded the president, that have insulated him against common sense and everything. I see the NRM candidate, this election, getting more votes than in the last.
So you think Museveni is going to pull bigger than 58?
Yes.
63 or something?
65 thereabouts is my prediction.
So is that a reflection of the voting, or you think that we are just living an acted script?
I don't think, if you know me, I don't think that will be a reflection. Even if you got 58, it will not be the reflection. But these people that have surrounded him are people that want to
make things happen.
Want to make at whatever
and provide
cost,
for his comfort
at any cost. And the people who are blind, and this will be the downfall of these people. Because you see, Museveni's longevity in power has come because of his compromises. Museveni has never deployed. If you think Museveni is radical, you look at what happened in Tanzania. Museveni has never deployed. I know that he has persecuted extremely Besigye and now the Honorable Kyagulanyi, but he has never at one point said Besigye will not be in this election. Or the leading candidate.
Yeah. To use the system to say I'm dictating. The election helps him.
The same way Tindilisu is in prison. To say, no, Bobi Wine will not, we shall not have an election. But where we are going, these new cadres, the ones that they'll
be pushing for that narrative.
We are going to change NRM from the inside. The ones that are coming up, first of all, are radical. Secondly, they are insensitive. Because that is a characteristic of people who have been born
to add a spice to your
people that have been born
to add a spice to your meal, in peace times, they do not know how to live outside power.
No, the people that have been born in peace, they don't because Museveni knows the 80s and
the 80s and the 70s. Yes,
he knows examples from around Africa and their world. He understands that yes, or you can persecute, but you leave some room for someone to run to. But these people that I am seeing, Harold, that make sure that go and get nominated and the nomination is closed. As soon as they leave, the nomination is closed. Everyone is shut out. They don't allow you to enter. That nominations, candidates disappear. That people are nominated, then they go and find a way
of using the system at EC to delete them and get unopposed.
Find signatures to say they forged signatures, and reports say people are paying 30 million. Let me tell you, this new generation that is coming in is going to be too radical, and that I want to predict
is very dangerous.
It's going to be the downfall, or it's going to be the reason why the NRM, honestly speaking, is not going to go beyond the Excellency Kaguta Museveni.
I subscribe to that school of thought as far as the lifespan of the party, not beyond the lifespan of the founder. But we go to the last story, and Nicholas, this is international but also affecting Uganda. The Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Hilary Onek, made a statement and said that the government has stopped guaranteeing refugee status to persons from countries that are not at war. And he says that was because of the dwindling support from the donor community for these people. To put in context, as we do at the Checkmate, Nicholas, Uganda has the highest refugee intake in Africa. And Uganda hosts approximately 1.8 million refugees. And 57% of those refugees are from South Sudan. Democratic Republic comes in second position with 31%. And then, of course, we have countries like Somalia, Burundi, Eritrea, Sudan, Rwanda, and Ethiopia. This has also attracted a lot of news coverage because of what we have discussed on the Checkmate in the previous times, of people complaining of how some towns have been taken over by these refugees who have influenced the market rates, influenced the trade, the housing, etc. Previously, when you were discussing this, you said that people need to not be myopic, to say that what is happening in those countries can happen to Uganda, and we find ourselves seeking refuge to these different countries, or being refugees in those different countries. And that's why we should be more deliberate and understanding of this situation, because it is a mandate of human nature to welcome someone whose house is burning. But this one has now come in light of the donor funding, and to say that there's no more war in your countries, we are no longer taking on refugees. Is it a policy that is commendable? Is it a good thing that the government is doing? Is it the bigger picture that should have been done earlier? What's your take on that?
I think I've been reading numbers. And honestly speaking, I think it's not tenable anymore.
That of the 45 million Ugandans.
On two fronts. One is what the Honorable Minister said about the funding. I've been reading that we are previously getting about 688 billion every year from the United Nations refugee agencies, you know, every year to take care of the refugees. Now are almost 2 million people in Uganda. Previously, that was what we would receive on a yearly basis. And that goes into feeding, into relief, into everything, education, you know, all. About, was it last year or the other year, we got only $10 million, which is about 365 billion. You know? So that is slashing that figure by half. But remember, the number of refugees are increasing, but now the cake, it's becoming smaller. What does that mean? That means that the rest of the burden is shielded by the taxpayer. Yes. Now, even this year, we have received even much less. I think even much less.
Especially after what happened with Donald Trump and the policy. Then also the shifting of the best for the UN.
So we have received even much less, meaning the refugees are still coming in. The money has dried up. The coffers are drying up. So the burden now shifts to an already burdened national coffer. But for me, I don't think that this should have been the trigger for this conversation that you have said. I think that, honestly speaking, yes, you used a good analysis that every time these conversations have started to trickle down now to the common man to say, but in these areas of Buziga, Kabaragara, you know, that Kansanga, Kabaragara, it's basically the Horn of Africa in Uganda. And then people come and say, guys, don't talk about that. I mean, anytime you can become a refugee, that's true, especially considering our history. So many people were refugees during the Amin era, during the Wakombozi when they were here, during the Museveni war. Anytime you can be a refugee or you can be asylum seeker, you know. But even when you're running a household like we both do, you know, there is only so much that you can do. You can bring your cousin from the village. You can bring someone, but there is a level you're going to hit capacity. There is when it's going to be unsustainable, even for you, even with a big heart that you have. That now it's not sustainable anymore. That I bring anyone else into the house. Do I have a helping heart? Yes. Could I become homeless at some point and also stay at someone's place? Yes. But this is enough. There's no more. I can't handle any more than this. You get this kind of thing. So I think that, honestly speaking, our refugee policy has been lax, and it is starting and not to sustainable. Brew. It is starting to brew. If we had our time is well spent. We talked about how it has caused inflation in land, real estate prices, rental prices, shop ownership, SMEs, SMEs downtown. The other day we were discussing how the foreigners are the guys who are chased from Tanzania came and so the Drake beggars of this world, these are capitalists, and you cannot blame the man, Harold, if
he has to make the money.
Building is yours, you have 20 units, and tomorrow you have 20 people in your office saying, guys, for me I can pay $1,000 for a shop.
Even for the economic policy, it should be worrying that other people, even when they have a bigger policy on attracting investors, that they are saying at least for every business there must be a national.
Yes.
And then your bigger trade is that as a government you're boasting that our business can be 100% foreign owned, and you don't see nothing wrong with it.
But also in many countries, refugees are not allowed to run shops, operate, buy properties. And this government should have seen that, for example, guys who come from South Sudan and wherever, they come with a lot of money.
That's true.
Eventually, they're going to price out the local Ugandans. And
they're getting leases of 99 years in Kajansi.
So what are these people going? These people are going to retaliate and say,
Buziga, all over.
Why are the people, the indigenous people, we have been pushed away? It's going to happen. It's going to be what is happening in South Africa, where the
Nigerians,
the African, the people, the indigenous people feel that the foreigners are having a bigger share of the cake than the local people.
Which was the number cause one for xenophobia. And what we've seen over the years.
So, as a leader that is visionary, that sees into the future, you must be able to see that kind of thing and say that if Kansanga and Kabaragara and this kind of area is like this, if this is replicated in northern Kampala and in Tinda Chanja, then it goes to Rubaga, wherever. Then it goes everywhere, which is just a matter of time. Chisenyi is now Somali, you know, so it goes everywhere. So you're going to see that it is going to start to cause some kind of discontent. Ugandans are very, very, very welcoming people.
Sure.
And they are the least people that will...
Highly tolerant.
Yes. And sometimes I feel like they're even more tolerant to foreigners than they are to fellow locals.
Especially of another tribe.
Yes, especially of another tribe, you know. So they are tolerant, but when the time comes when they see that they have been priced out of the economy, they have been priced out of... They can't put up a shop because a foreigner has come with more money to put up the shop. They can't find a space. They can't
rent out because the other one can pay higher. They can no longer pay fees in some of these universities because when the foreigners come and they come with that, you know, exchange rate, they're able to pay even if they say, I mean, a course is they pay higher, but they can afford it.
You know, so when time comes and they say that they are being priced out, they are being, you know. It becomes problematic. But also number two, I think that especially that these people are coming from regions that are politically unstable. You must have a security purview of how admitting these people affects not just our diplomatic arms, but also our security.
The bigger picture.
The bigger picture. Some of these people are South Sudanese,
the countries they come from.
Different. Some of them are veterans of wars. You know, so you don't know others come from Eastern Congo. So you don't know what they are importing. I know we have a screening and everything, but then you cannot screen out a skill. Can you screen out a skill? You cannot screen out a skill. And let me not remind you that the war of 1980 to 85 of Museveni war had a big contribution, although we may not mention it. Sometimes this conversation, people become shy when it comes around. But the Banyarwanda community that had been expelled from Rwanda in 1959.
Yes, they had one of the biggest impacts on that war.
Had one of the biggest impacts on the war. I don't know whether it was because Obote was calling Museveni Munyarwanda and trying to persecute them.
It was easier for them to associate to the cause.
Yes, but you cannot objectively downplay their contribution in that war. A man like Fred Gisarigema was almost...
Even the president of Rwanda.
Yes, was one of the most fierce commanders, if not the most fierce, him alongside General Salim Saleh. So these refugee communities, as we admit them, we must also have a bigger
look at the bigger picture and
of what it means, first for the locals, economically, financially, but also security-wise.
On this chessboard called Uganda, many pieces are moving, most of them political and related to the elections. But whichever pawns that are moving, we promise you that we'll be telling you how the board looks like every single week. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Please continue to comment and also subscribe and share with your colleagues to ensure that we drive towards an informed country and citizens that know what is going on in their country. Thank you very much for making time, as usual, and we look forward to bring you more and more stories in the next and the coming weeks. Thank you.
Tell them to comment.
And you want them to comment more? Yeah, please comment.
There's been a lot of engagement this week on our channel. Please engage. Come to the channel.
We've responded to most of them. Do not tire. If you think you do not agree with any of the things or you can
and that's
weigh in.
That's acceptable.
That's really
don't agree
really
with us. This is a conversation, really. You can say I disagree here. You can say I agree with this. So feel free. Disagree. Bring up your own view.
Exactly.
We are all Ugandans. Lay a brick on the conversation
of this country. This is the Checkmate, and see you next week.